This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. As we roll into Clash in Paris, we've only got 24 hours until that happens, and this should be a good show. I mean, I've been really looking at the card, and after seeing a little bit of SmackDown, haven't seen it all yet, I can pretty confidently say I think this is a PLE that's going to exceed expectations, and I think that it's one that could have a couple of surprises. Is Brock going to be there? We'll see. But certainly it's going to be a show that I think we're going to be talking about for the weeks to come as we then roll into the next PLE, which is not far away with WrestlePalooza, I believe September 20th. So not far away after that. As we know, time between PLEs is some kind of vortex. It just vaporizes so quickly, and we turn around and here we are. So this is the mailbag portion of the show, though. As we get to the second half of the show, I'll be recording the audio version, but also for those on Patreon, I will be live for you, but of course that this is pre-recorded now, so it doesn't really matter. You won't hear this until I actually hit live, but I wanted to let those of you who are not patrons know that we are starting to do live shows on Patreon. They now have a in-house live option, so that'll be kind of cool as we get more and more PLEs that WWE loves to have, and a good time to go on Patreon because you get that live action as well as access to Discord and, of course, ad-free everything at patreon.com/WWE podcast. All right. So with all of the self-promotion out of the way, let's just get to the emails quickly. We don't have a bunch of them tonight, just a few. And then we will go to the all-important predictions and preview that's coming your way. Now, let's start with good old DJ Kuzmo. He's back at it again, and he says, "Let me quickly get to my Clash in Paris predictions and 0 potential spoilers. Rusev versus Sheamus in a Donnybrook match. Sheamus wins. You think that Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed is going to result in Bronson Reed winning? John Cena versus Logan Paul. John Cena wins. Becky Lynch versus Nikki Bella in the Women's Intercontinental title match. Becky wins. Seth Rollins, LA Knight, main event Jey Uso, and CM Punk in a fatal 4-way for the world title. Seth Rollins wins. Unfortunately, no title match opportunity for Stephanie Vacour will be happening, but Adam Pearce announced a mystery opponent for Vacour in the coming days. I think it could be a returning, I like this one, Bianca Belair. This is DJ signing off. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the last weekend of summer and Clash in Paris." Thank you, DJ. We'll get to that Joe Hendry report, as always, in just a few moments. But let's see here. We also have Corey. Corey says, "I already said my predictions for Clash, but I didn't mention Sheamus versus Rusev or Nikki versus Becky. I think that Becky will retain and Sheamus will win. And good old-fashioned Donnybrook, Extreme Rules, No Holds Barred, Street Fight, Hardcore, and Unsanctioned all mean the same thing, and it's kind of weird." Yeah, it does, and it's all a matter of marketing. But it's all the same. In reality, which is where I like to live, all of those slogans, all of those labels for that match of essentially no disqualification, you could label it whatever you want. It's a matter of marketing. Donnybrook, Extreme Rules, no DQ, no holds barred, falls kind of anywhere actually is a little bit different, but no holds barred, Street Fight, Hardcore, Unsanctioned, all of them, you're right, mean the same exact thing. It is weird, but it kind of makes sense because it makes a match that you just don't want to sound like a plain old, "Oh, there's no DQ." You need to have a little bit of spice and flavor to it. You want to add a little bit to it when you say the match and what it is. It's a hardcore match. It's a street fight. It depends on the actual rivalry, what's going on, who's fighting who and why, and then they label it appropriately. I think Batista would be good at commentary, and maybe Paul Heyman too once he's done managing people. Has Paul Heyman ever wrestled a match? Just wondering. I don't think he did. Batista, I don't know if he'd be good at commentary. I mean, right now he's too busy, playing politics and wearing pearl necklaces and effeminizing himself that he may not be exactly good at commentary. He's too busy doing those things. But, I mean, honestly, I don't know. As far as Paul Heyman, he has been a commentator before. He was a commentator in WWE for many years. He did an excellent job with JR, with Taz. Excellent. Paul Heyman on commentary is just, he's awesome. But Paul Heyman's talents are actually best utilized in a story as a manager that he's, again, just like, here's the same thing of being a wrestling manager. Today it's called, well, Paul Heyman called himself an advocate, then a wise man, now an oracle. They're all the same thing, just like a no DQ match. It's just a matter of labeling it differently. And that's, it depends, again, because it fits the narrative or person you're managing. But same thing. And if you ever went to commentary, I mean, yeah, I can't do anything but help the situation. And he is just fantastic. What are your top 5 WWE theme songs not based on nostalgia? Well, I don't know what you mean. You mean theme songs like wrestler entrances or PLE or pay-per-view theme songs? I mean, I could tell you my favorite theme song of all time is My Way, WrestleMania 17, in terms of theme songs, back in 2001. But wrestler theme song, I mean, geez, this is going to bore everyone to tears, but Stone Cold Steve Austin, one of my favorites, if not the favorite. I mean, this is so boring, but it is. So as far as today's theme song, Sami Zayn's got a hell of a theme song. I may not agree with him on anything other than what he does inside the ring, but he's got a hell of a theme song. I do enjoy his. Roman Reigns' I actually think was better without it being revised when he came back last year. I think he should just kept it as is. I don't know why they revised it. It's still fine. It's still good, but it didn't need revising. But Roman Reigns is really good. As far as the women go, I mean, Becky Lynch has changed, which is good. I mean, let's see. I'm trying to think whose entrance theme I really, really enjoy now. I mean, Cody Rhodes I have to be honest, Cody Rhodes, I despise his character, but part of the reason he's so damn over is because his entrance theme is just perfect for pro wrestling. And despite what I feel about Cody Rhodes' pro wrestling character, I can objectively say that his entrance theme is extremely catchy, and I see why people love it. So, all right. Thank you, Corey. And does that actually do it? Dare I say? All right, let's get to the one voicemail I think that we have, and then we will go right to the predictions, which again will be transferring into a live stream on Patreon. That'll be a live stream on Patreon once we start the predictions, because that's how I'm going to do it. So, all right, let's get to that voicemail.
This is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag Show. Record to you live on a Wednesday morning, and you know what time it is. It's time to
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
That's right, folks. Joe Hendry is his name, as I take it to my 59th episode of the Jones Report. And like always, coming to you live from an undisclosed location. Now let's take it to a TV taping of TNA Wrestling from last week. But we did not get an appearance of Joe Hendry. It seems like Joe Hendry is on a hiatus on TNA because I guess for the time being, he's making his transition as he's in his contract year, as he's making his transition from TNA to WWE. He has been making some frequent appearances on NXT, but now let's take it to what took place at this past Sunday, live from Lowell, Massachusetts, as we had NXT Heatwave, their NXT PLE, but we also did not get an appearance of Joe Hendry. But speaking of NXT Heatwave, we did have a TNA Knockouts Championship match, a triple threat, by the way, of Ash by Elegance. We had JC Jane, of course, which is the Knockouts champion and NXT superstar. And we had none other than Masha Slamovich, as she was planning to get back her TNA Knockouts championship. And we got some good news for TNA, and that is Ash by Elegance, formerly known as Dana Brooke. She is now the new TNA Knockouts champion, as now the TNA Knockouts Championship is now back in the hands of a TNA wrestler, and now it's going back to TNA. Now with the possibility that coming at Bound for Glory, when we probably have the matchup of Trick Williams versus Mr. Mike Santana might be the one to dethrone Trick Williams to bring back the TNA World Championship back to TNA. Just like how Ash by Elegance this past Sunday, live from Lowell, Massachusetts, as she brought it back home with this amazing win in this triple threat match against JC Jane and Masha Slamovich. But getting back to Joe Hendry, there's a possibility that just if you just say his name, he might just randomly appear. Well, apparently, he appeared, but not last night on NXT. Let me quickly take you to these 3 past events that Joe Hendry made an appearance. One of them was a dark match, one of them was an NXT live event, and one of them was a house show. Now let's take you to the dark match that Joe Hendry was a part of, and that took place last week Tuesday on August 19th, which was on the NXT Go Home show. Before they had that episode, Joe Hendry had a dark match against Channing Lorenzo, aka Stax, and he defeated Stax. That was August 19th, last week Tuesday. Then this past Saturday at an NXT live event live from Sebring, Florida, Joe Hendry in the main event had a match against Channing Lorenzo, aka Stax, and he defeated Stax once again. Then of course, this past Tuesday, yesterday, as part of WWE's Road to Clash in Paris, live from Manchester, England, Joe Hendry answered The Miz's Open Challenge to a loud applause as everybody was cheering for Joe Hendry as he made a random appearance as he had a matchup against The Miz, and of course he defeated The Miz, and that was live from Manchester, England. And once again, the question remains, what other random place will Joe Hendry randomly appear if you just say his name? Always remember to believe, say his name. Always remember the words that Joe Hendry says anytime, any place, at any show. And most importantly, always remember to do this.
Wave your hands from side to side and say, oh, I believe in Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is so prestigious.
Once again, this is your guy, DJ Kuzmo. Have a blessed week. Be kind to one another. Stay safe, my friends. Believe and peace.
Well, that's the question, DJ. I mean, someone just needs to say his name. How else is he supposed to appear? It's incumbent upon us to say his name. Otherwise, he's left off. He's left out. I mean, so we're the ones responsible. Which, again, thank you for the update, as always. Thank you for giving us, an insight into former talent of WWE who are now known as, whatever their names are, and that's good to hear. And it does sound like he's in a transition, Joe Hendry, that is. It sounds like he's finally in a true transition. He comes and faces The Miz. Obviously, it wasn't televised, but he does what he needs to do. I think WWE is testing their water with him, seeing if the crowd still is with him past WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble appearance he had. And it seems like they are. That's good. But I'd say he's finally in that transition period to come to the main roster and be a big player. Is he going to be world champion within the next 6 months? No, I don't think so. But it's really going to depend on how the crowd continues to react to him. Is it going to be a constant need for him? Is he just a one-trick wonder? Is he kind of like a Bobby Roode where it's just glorious and then there's nothing else to his act, which is all Bobby Roode seemed to be? Hopefully not. But thank you, DJ. I appreciate it. As always, hope all is well down there. Hope you have a great Labor Day weekend, wherever you may be, in your undisclosed location. And everybody, enjoy your Labor Day weekend. I'm not signing off, but before I mention, don't mention it, I wanted to say to enjoy your Labor Day weekend, as summer has somehow come and gone already, which is just really hard to believe. Where I'm at, leaves are already starting to fall. Leaves started to fall a couple weeks ago here. I'm not saying they've turned colors and stuff, and it's not because it's been super dry. Like the leaves have started to fall on certain trees. It's just, and then they fall here for the next 4 months. Like, I'm serious. I clean up leaves up until like the week before Christmas. I got damn oak trees The oak trees they take forever to bloom, but then they take forever to fall. I want to it's the worst. So, anyway, my own personal gripes that no one gives a damn about. Well, that will do it, I think, everybody, as we transition to the more fun part of this, as we get to Clash in Paris, which comes to us tomorrow night. And again, as I said, I think it's going to be a great show. It's coming to us from the Paris La Défense Arena in Nanterre, France. Boy, did I probably butcher the hell out of that. And it's going to be, I'm trying to think of the time here locally, probably like afternoon time. But let's get to it with the predictions, and let's see how this whole live thing goes with Patreon. I'm about to click that live button. So let's see how that goes. We're going to click it here. And I just did. So bear with me in the audio feed only here. We clicked that go live button, and well, it looks like we're off and running. So we'll see if anybody joins. I didn't promote it at all. I just said that I was going to go live. So we'll see if that anybody actually follows into the live feed. If not, cool. But all right, let's get to Clash in Paris that is coming to us again, as I said, tomorrow night. And it starts with, what do I want to start with? I don't want to start at the top yet. Let's start with Becky Lynch and Nikki Bella for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. And this program to me has really overachieved. This program to me is infinitely better than Lyra and Becky was, not from necessarily an in-ring perspective, because to be honest, I think Lyra and Becky, if you looked at it purely from a wrestling perspective, I think that Lyra and Becky is probably better, because I don't exactly put Nikki Bella at the top of my pro wrestling achievement list. But that said, Nikki Bella, for all the things that I say about her, she has done a very good job of this with this program with Becky. They have chemistry, and that's a plus. That really can't be manufactured. Sometimes you either have it or you don't. And right now, Nikki Bella and Becky Lynch have that chemistry. So I'm looking forward to this matchup from the perspective of not really match quality, because I think it'll be fine. Nikki Bella can hold her own and do a standard job. Becky Lynch obviously is one of the top tier women's wrestlers, at least to me, in the company. But I don't think this match is really going to be about the wrestling quality as it is much about the story. And what is this really about? Does Nikki Bella even have a chance? My answer is probably no. Now, Nikki Bella was originally supposed to work with Liv Morgan, if you remember. Liv Morgan got injured, and there's pictures of her floating around the internet. I know I've come across them. But for all of Liv's accomplishments, I don't think she had any intention of dropping the belt to Nikki Bella. There was just no chance. So I think in the same way, with Nikki Bella facing Becky Lynch, there's really just no chance of Nikki winning. I don't think she's here for very long. She might have signed. Again, I'm not an insider. I don't have insider knowledge. It's just a hunch, watching wrestling for 30 years, that it's much more of a 6 to 12 month deal with WWE. And with that said, it doesn't feel like Nikki Bella needs to be champion. She doesn't need to be champion because, number one, I don't think anyone really wants her to be champion. Becky Lynch, as Women's Intercontinental Champion, is doing just fine. She just won it back a couple months ago. It's something that I don't think is needed. But the question is really, okay, she loses. We know she's probably going to lose. Nikki, what's next? Is this a program that's going to continue into the WrestlePalooza event on September 20th? If so, how? I mean, I have no problem with it. Fans seem to be into it. This program, as I said, has over-delivered on the mic exceedingly well, and credit to both women for that. So we'll see if that continues. If they've got some nice content on the mic to continue with, I'm all for it. So, alrighty, where else do we want to go here? Let's continue here with, let's go to Roman Reigns and Bronson Reed. This is an interesting match because while Roman Reigns didn't get a one-on-one at SummerSlam, he's getting a one-on-one now. And it couldn't be with a better guy, I don't think. not a better guy in terms of somebody of ability, a star power, but somebody that I think needs a little bit of a boost. It needs a little bit of a boost because, and I'll be answering chat, by the way. I see somebody wrote in the chat. I'll answer that in a minute. So those of you who are listening to this on delay, obviously it's not applicable to you, but I am reading some chat here. So getting back to Bronson Reed, I think you have a guy that is and has largely been ignored in the Vision group, or at least he's taken third rank, if you will. Bronson Reed has been a guy that where you look at Seth, he's the head of the whole thing. You know what he brings. You look at Braun Breaker, who has been the muscle of the group. He's been the focal point. We've been told many times, it's been declared and determined that Braun Breaker is a future main event of WrestleMania player, multi-main event of WrestleMania player. We've been told. It's just a fact, apparently. And I mean, I could see that. We'll see if it actually comes true. And Braun Breaker's been spearing the hell out of everybody in sight. But really, Bronson Reed has been a guy that he's taken the shoes of Roman Reigns, but he hasn't really got a chance to talk. He hasn't had that breakout, performance on the mic like Breaker did a few weeks ago. So it's, I think, imperative that they do something with Bronson Reed, and now they're doing it. What better way to do it than with the top guy in your company? The question is, who wins this? You can make a case for both. This is a difficult match to hedge a bet on. Really difficult, because you have a guy that's the face of the company that still has years left in the body if he wants to go, still is in the prime, still works at a peak high level, knows who he is, still not an A+ on the mic, but he doesn't need to be anymore, in Roman Reigns. And then you have a guy who needs this attention, who needs the rub of Roman Reigns, who you don't want to lose particularly clean to Roman Reigns. And even though there's no shame in it, if your goal for Bronson Reed is to move forward, move up quickly, you kind of have to have him beat Roman. On the other hand, the logic is, well, you have Bronson win in a loss. And that's a lot of what pro wrestling is learning how to win in a loss. And I think that's where Bronson Reed is probably going to live. I'm going to give the win to Roman, but Bronson Reed is going to get his heat back afterwards and destroy Roman Reigns after. And yes, the Vision could get involved. The Vision we could see the Vision all night, for God's sakes. They're probably going to interfere in at least 2 matches, as we know. But to me, this match is going to be fun. It's going to be, this is about Bronson Reed, and Bronson Reed having the most important match of his entire career, where for Roman, it's kind of just another PLE. No disrespect, but it is what it is. This is about Bronson Reed showing up, even if he loses here. It's about Bronson Reed making sure he makes a statement, as WWE would love to say, and making sure that he, even if he loses to Roman clean, he is remembered for what the match was, not the outcome. So, either way, if I'm Bronson Reed, I'm looking at this as the biggest match of my career. He should treat it like that, and I think he will. All right. Let's. So we got a comment here. I wonder if Nikki had pumped in the crowd cheer. Yeah, I mean, probably. But I will say, when I hear crowd noise that doesn't sound right, and going back to Nikki and Becky for a moment, when I hear crowd noise that doesn't sound right, I look at the crowd. If it doesn't jive with what my ears are telling me, that usually is a sign. Because if you're hearing cheering and people are sitting on their ass, pretty good sign it's not real. They've done that a lot. They did a lot with Roman Reigns when he was the big dog. They did a lot with, I can't remember who it was, but they've done it over the years with the SmackDown specifically. When you hear somebody that's getting cheered that the company clearly wants you to cheer for, and the audience isn't complying, well, then WWE will manufacture a positive reaction, but then you're looking at the crowd and they're not looking as you would expect them to look if they're cheering at that level. So that's your cue. All right, let's continue. Sheamus versus Rusev in a good old-fashioned Donnybrook match. This match, again, no DQ, call it what you want, street fight, as we mentioned earlier in the show. well, I did it offline for the mailbag. For those of you who are watching me live or on Patreon, that the mailbag I actually did offline. I just coming on for the preview and predictions of Clash in Paris. But on the mailbag, somebody had mentioned, hey, what's the difference between a Donnybrook match, a no DQ, a unsanctioned, hardcore, extreme rules? The answer is nothing other than marketing, right? That's it. That's it. It's marketing, but it's Donnybrook match, and this should be, and it is going to be apparently their final match. We'll see if that holds true, but I'm looking forward to this from just a pure perspective of respect. The respect between these two men that they have for each other, that I have for both men, their history of being a tag team. Remember the League of Nations, the beloved League of Nations, that on paper looked great, and then in execution was just oil and water. But I think these two, I'm looking forward to just like quality, stiff, just physical matchup. That's all this is going to be about. Who comes out on top? Probably Sheamus. Probably. But I would argue maybe Rusev should. Otherwise, why are you bringing him back just to lose? I mean, what have they done with Rusev since he came back? He's barely gotten a chance to speak. Even the promos he does are 5 seconds long. Again, I have no problem with Rusev per se as a character, but I want to be refreshed about what he's about. Since you came back, why are you here? What have you learned? I want to know more about Rusev, and we'll learn a lot about this match, I think, in the outcome of what the WWE's plans are for both men moving forward. Not that they're going to wrestle again, but rather who's going to be on TV more, doing more important things. That's, to me, what this is about. But outside of that, just a quality physical match from two guys that I respect the hell out of. So, by the way, who do I expect to win? Boy, this is a tough one. I would also stay the hell away from this if you are betting on any wrestling events or outcomes for tomorrow night. Probably Sheamus. Probably. But I say that very not confidently. All right. What else do we got here? Let's talk. No, I'm not going to talk to anybody. But let's go to John Cena versus Logan Paul. This match. Now, again, I did not see SmackDown with anything that happened between these two. It doesn't really matter, or it shouldn't affect the actual prediction I have here. This match is going to be, as the kids would say, hella interesting, because you have John Cena, who's a step and a half slower than he used to be. And he admits that he is, and he knows that's why it's time to go. You have an up-and-coming talent of Logan Paul that is half his age, 5 times his ability in the ring in terms of athleticism. Not ring psychology or anything like that, just pure athleticism. And he is inarguably probably the future of the company. Maybe a future Hall of Famer, maybe a future WrestleMania main eventer, maybe. He's on track for it. Whether you love or hate Logan Paul, he just is. So the diversity and ability in the ring here is astounding. You have one guy that is even in John Cena's heyday, I think his muscle worked against him at times because his flexibility and his ability in the ring was hindered by how strong he was and the muscle mass he had on his body. For all the power lifting he did and all of the incredible feats of strength he did in the ring, which were really incredible, the things he's done, and nothing but respect. I think at times it did hinder him to make him look a little bit stoic in the ring. And now you add 20 years to that on a body that's already got a large amount of muscle mass. And it's a formula for a really just wide range of ability in the ring here. I don't think it's going to be a bad match. I know that sounds like a setup for, wow, Logan Paul is this style. He's, incredibly gifted in the ring. His athleticism is otherworldly. You have John Cena, who's aged on a body that has too much muscle for his age, and he's 20, 25 years older, and all that. It looks like this could be a disaster. I don't think so. I really don't. I think this match, from a quality perspective, is going to be very good. You bring the athleticism of Logan Paul, who's going to do a lot of the quote-unquote heavy lifting in this match of making John Cena look good with his power moves that are going to, the pacing is going to be slower, but Logan Paul can do his end and add the athleticism part. John Cena can add his part of ring psychology, timing, pacing, all that kind of stuff that he brings, just being a ring general. I think it's actually a pretty good fit, despite the fact that they are pretty much on the opposite ends of the spectrum from one another in terms of style and what their ability to do in the ring is right now. So who's going to win? Another tough one. Another tough one for me. I mean, this is really, really difficult. I know for some people it's a slam dunk that John Cena wins because, he's leaving. But isn't that also the same argument you could use to say that John Cena is going to lose? Because he's on his way out. Wouldn't you want one last chance to give Logan Paul a victory against John Cena and they'd be able to brag about it? To me, that's more valuable. And I think Logan Paul wins. And I think he actually should win. Now, should he win because he uses his brass knucks, he uses his, his steel reinforced arm or whatever he's got, or is it a Brock Lesnar interference? I don't care. I actually don't care. I don't want it to be a quick match. This needs to be a lengthy match. I would want this 15, 20, dare I say 25 minutes? It's not going to get that. It'll probably get anywhere from 17 to 18 minutes. That's my guess. But I would want this to be a Logan Paul victory. and again, if Brock Lesnar interferes, it'd probably be after the match. And that way you could maximize what you're getting out of this one-time only Logan Paul John Cena match, which, let's be honest, it's a one-time only given how many dates John has left and who the potential future opponents are up until mid-December. So I think Logan Paul needs to win this, even if it is by hook or crook. And then, have John Cena look like he's going to get, a little bit of revenge after the match. And here comes Brock Lesnar to wrap up their next and set up their next match, which is likely going to be at WrestlePalooza, but could be after that. It could be at the PLE in October. Hell, it could be all the way to Survivor Series, the way that Brock Lesnar's schedule is appearing. I mean, the next time, if he appears, look, if Brock Lesnar appears tomorrow night, we won't see him again till like Halloween. So you might want to get the most out of Brock you can, given the pacing and the frequency in which Brock Lesnar is going to appear. So who the hell knows when the John Cena match with Brock is going to take place? I would imagine WrestlePalooza, but anybody's guess. So I think Logan Paul needs to win this. That's just my take on that. I would stay away from this though. Steven, you're saying, I was very surprised that Logan got one of John's final matches. Yeah, but I see what you mean from like a nostalgic perspective, from the perspective of like, hey, John Cena's leaving. Why would you waste it on Logan Paul? But if I'm the company and I'm also John Cena who has a say in this, they're trying to build for the future. You want to use your current assets to help build that next generation and to make sure that, you are investing in the future. That's what this is about. That is what I think should be their focus right now. And that's why I think they're putting their stock in Logan Paul. It really does say a lot though, Steven, and really everybody that's wondering why the hell when you waste, quote unquote, a match with Logan Paul when there's so many other legends. And what about Edge, which I still really, 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 really want Adam Copeland to somehow be able to pull off a miracle and make it John's final match in December. But yeah, there's some fun matchups. There's some fun nostalgic matchups. People are talking about The Rock and John Cena. People are talking about Roman Reigns and John Cena again. There's others, but thrown in there through all those fun nostalgic rematches and big star versus big star, you have to throw in a future investment match. And Logan Paul is that. That tells you where they think Logan Paul could be. If they're putting him in one of John Cena's extremely limited dates, they also have faith that Logan Paul is probably going to be one of the biggest stars the company has in the next 5 years. And you got to keep building that next generation. It can't just all be relying on, Attitude Era star versus Attitude Era star, or Ruthless Aggression star versus Ruthless Aggression star, or those are fun. And don't get me wrong, those are box office, but they don't invest in anything in the future. They're just much more of a here and now type of match. And I love them. I want them. But we need these matches thrown in with younger talent. So, all right. Let's continue. Not too many matches left here, I don't think. We've got... Is this all we've got left here? Well, we've got the World Heavyweight Championship. Seth Rollins, Jey Uso, CM Punk, and LA Knight. Boy, oh boy. This is a match that I think is going to be it's a car wreck, but I mean that when I say that, and you guys have heard me before, I mean that in a very positive way. Since there's no disqualification, you can guarantee, which again is stupid that there's no DQ, just simply by the fact that there's more than two people in a match is just dumb. But that aside, the Vision we all know is going to get involved. We all know Bronson Reed, even after his match, will be physically able to help. We all know Braun Breaker is going to have a say. We all know that Paul Heyman could even have some influence of distracting the referee. That all is very, very possible and very likely. I just hope that's not all there is. Now, don't get me wrong. Seth Rollins is winning this. You know it. I know it. The world knows it. Seth Rollins is going to win, and you know what? Seth should win. He just pulled off, to some, one of the greatest hoaxes of all time with his feigned injury that, again, a lot of us didn't believe. And I was of the belief up until about a week or two before, and I said, something ain't right. They're not following through. We haven't heard anything. If they're going to make this real, they need to like think this through, and they missed some big gaps in logic. But you can't do that and then have him drop it. So this is a nearly guarantee that Seth retains. I just hope it's not just simply the Vision doing their thing. Braun Breaker gets spear after spear after spear. Looks like CM Punk's going to win it. Oh, spear. Oh, here comes LA Knight, BFT. Oh, here comes Bronson Reed, Tsunami. I'm really, really hoping that there's more to this than just that formula, because it's too obvious. Now, the obvious thing here is Seth wins, and he should. And I don't care if it's obvious. I will take obvious because it's logical and it's the right thing to do. Those two things are simultaneous at this time. They're sometimes not mutually exclusive. Sometimes what is right is not what's obvious, and vice versa. In this case, they are in lockstep. So that's off the table that Seth's going to lose the belt. If he does, I will be floored. The question is, okay, Vision's going to interfere. Check. We know that. But okay, so 2 for 2 on things that guaranteed are going to happen. But how does Seth win? And after the match, what happens? Is there a big return? Perhaps. Is there some kind of turn? Not return, but somebody turning. Somebody joining the Vision. Not impossible. So that's really what I'm looking forward to is, again, match quality, which is going to be just A+. This is going to be a fun-ass match where you're going to believe, and I hope there's times where I believe that there's you have those moments where you're like, okay, Seth's going to win, but can you make me believe this much during the match? Those are what I'm looking for. But on top of that, this is going to be a 25-minute I think it's going to be I don't want to say classic. That might be a little bit too dramatic. It could be a 4 out of 5 star match. I think it really could be. Again, stars are very, very much of a personal thing and kind of subjective, to say the very least. But this match could easily be 4 out of 5 stars or higher. Now, that's a high bar, but given the talent in the ring with Jey Uso, CM Punk, Knight, and Seth Rollins, kind of a fair bar, really, when you think about it, what these 4 are capable of. So it'll be fun. Again, interference. Could Brock Lesnar interfere in this? I mean, I guess he could, but he's already intertwined with John Cena. We all are looking, and here's what I'm looking for with Brock Lesnar, and I know a lot of you don't like him from a personal level and all the things he's involved with and everything else, but you can't tell me. You put all that other stuff aside, the lawsuit and what you think he should do and what WWE should do and why they bring him back, all the crap. You cannot tell me that it would not be incredibly compelling television if Brock Lesnar were to ever come in contact with Paul Heyman again. If CM Punk and Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns are ever to come face to face with Paul Heyman again and just surround him or just kind of stare at him or even have a conversation with those three men in the ring with Paul Heyman. I mean, I think that's more of a WrestleMania type of story than it is a right now story. But if they have Brock back for any length of time that includes WrestleMania, which I'd imagine they would, this is where you go for WrestleMania. You go with a somehow Paul Heyman, and maybe it's a fatal four-way for the world title at WrestleMania, where you have Seth Rollins in one corner, you have CM Punk in another corner, you have Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, and all Paul Heyman guys now in one ring. Again, kind of what they did last year, though. It'd be a bit of a duplicate, but you add Brock Lesnar into the mix, who's obviously one of the biggest supporters of Paul Heyman, and obviously Heyman was the biggest advocate of Brock forever. It just creates compelling television. So you put all that other crap aside. I don't want to hear it. You'd watch, So now I am seeing here that the Wyatt Six here. I'm trying to see if there's any other last minute matches. I see there is. So the Street Profits are now going to challenge the Wyatt Six for the tag team titles. Didn't see all of SmackDown yet, which is why I didn't mention it before. But I always check because I seemingly miss one of these last minute matches that WWE throws at us. So the Wyatt Six, let's see here. I'm looking at the kind of a recap here. It's the latest edition. Okay. It also features Fatal 4-Way, which I just talked about. So, okay, Street Profits become number one contenders against the Wyatt Six. I have gone over the Street Profits' woes for a while now because they're plentiful. But one thing you can't take away from them, one thing you cannot take away is their ability in the ring and their chemistry as a tag team, as one of the few true tag teams in the company. Because you can take anybody and throw them together. You can take anybody and throw them together and make them a quote-unquote tag team. We've seen that time after time where WWE throws together a bunch of tag teams before WrestleMania and just creates the mirage that there's a division, specifically with women. But the Street Profits are a true team that has chemistry, longevity, and ability in the ring, and that intangible that you just can't put your finger on. They're like, yeah, that's a team. And they've got that, maybe more than any other team does right now. And so the crowd still is positive towards them. They're getting a reaction because they're so good in the ring and they're so just well-oiled. And they're literally a machine in the ring as a tag team. So there is something to be said for that kind of team against a Wyatt Six team that, outside of the fact that, we loved Bray and you did too, so cheer for us. That's essentially been their entire campaign for us to cheer for them since its inception, which at the time, Bray Wyatt was kind of still fresh in our minds about his passing, and they appeared on Raw and seemingly murdered Chad Gable, if you remember, who had like the worst night ever in the history of wrestling. And he did that, or they did that, and then they had the VHS tapes, and you're like, okay, cool, they're doing individual character development. Then they disappear. And they're gone for like 6 months. You're like, oh yeah. They didn't do anything beyond that. They come back. There's not much development after that. It's very scattershot. There's so little going on with them from a character development standpoint that even the crowd's kind of like, we love Bray's music. We appreciate that this is a tribute group to Bray, but you guys have to find your own identity. They have an identity crisis. Their entire foundation is built on Bray Wyatt, who's no longer here. And so that can be a starting point. It can be a launching point, but it can't be your whole game the whole time. And so far, it has been their whole game the whole time. And what has resulted in? It's resulted in just feeling stale and flat. Not people turning on them, just kind of going, okay, cool, we get it. We like the entrance music. It reminds us of Bray. And then they're in the ring and you're like, wait, why should I care about if you win or lose again? Just because you like the guy that I did? It's very, very, very shallow, and we need more. And sure, Bray Wyatt's brother is in there, his true brother. We get that, Uncle Howdy. I understand. So then use it. Use it to launch this group into a new level that has something to do with beyond just Bray Wyatt. And then people may care. So bringing that all full circle, my analysis of the Street Profits, my analysis of the Wyatt Six. Who wins? Boy. I mean, I'm going to say the Wyatt Six, but this is probably their last time retaining. Them as tag champions does not feel particularly interesting. And the Street Profits, while I have advocated for and rallied for them to go their separate ways and have Montez Ford break out into a singles role, which I feel like I've been saying for like 5 years, 6 years now, since the pandemic. There is a case to be made to keep them together as a team in a company that has a very thin roster and depth chart for tag teams. So there is that too. So I would say, I mean, honestly, I won't be mad either way who wins it. If the Street Profits win it, great. If the Wyatt Six keep it, that's fine too. But I think they won't keep it very long. They're not a long-standing tag team title holder. Just doesn't feel that way. Because here's the thing. Not only is their character development weak and they're standing simply on the fact that Bray's dead and, hey, we are using his music, so cheer us. It's also that, like, they haven't done any character development inside of it, and why should fans care? And so there's not much to stand on. So, all right. Anyway, I'm going to go with the Wyatt Six retaining, and we'll see if I'm right. So far, what's my recap? So I think the Wyatt Six retain, although again, this is a hell of a toss-up PLE, very much a toss-up PLE that is just all of these matches scare me. Outside of Seth Rollins' victory of retaining the world title, this whole card is a trap for money. I would stay away, guys, but you do what you want with your money, of course. I know a lot of people that do bet on wrestling. People tell me all the time, oh, these odds, that odds. You can go to Vegas. You can, there's other sites. I would be very weary, other than the Seth Rollins one. But again, your money, folks. So to recap, yes, I think the Wyatt Six retain. I think that Becky Lynch retains the Intercontinental title. I think that Seth Rollins retains. I think that Logan Paul wins against John Cena. I think that Sheamus beats Rusev. How about that? So I'm going through one more time because I feel like there's always a damn match. I'm trying to find the actual, let's see here, the card. This is USA Today. I've gone to the WWE site. Let's see. I think that might be it. Yeah, I think I got it all. So this trend continues with the Triple H era, the Paul Levesque era of having fewer matches, longer matches with his PLEs, and that's fine with me. More time to tell a story rather than more stories with less time. I'm a big fan of that. Also, I know Sami Zayn did win the U.S. title against Solo. No objections against that. None. Solo and his group are a spinoff, as I said, of a spinoff that was a spinoff of a spinoff of a group that I think a lot of us are kind of like, cool, it was a great story, move on. And we'll have more to say on that. I'll have the SmackDown review up tomorrow morning from Amanda. I have that ready to go in the shoot, but I will put it up tomorrow morning for those of you wondering. And that'll be good. Also, Kevin Owens news. Kevin Owens has recently been interviewed, and he only had spinal fusion level 1, which I guess is the best case scenario. He let his body heal, which apparently was extremely important. And then they did the surgery, which again was the best case scenario. Still not a great scenario, but the best of all possibilities. And he got the successful surgery, and now it's a matter of how well does the bone fuse together. It's a surgery that Austin had, that Edge had, and both of them eventually were able to come back. So all's well so far, and it looks like Kevin Owens could be aiming for a late 2026 return, if all goes well. So hopefully for that, in about a year, we could be talking about a Kevin Owens return. Maybe as early as SummerSlam next year. I'm not, saying it's going to happen, but perhaps in a year we're bringing back KO, and I would love it. I mean, I wish him nothing but the best. When it happened, we were all thinking, that's a work. Please be a work, and it never ended up being a work with Randy Orton, and maybe they'll pick up right where they left off. You never know. That's the other thing, too. Randy Orton's not on the card here. Keep that in mind. I know that he and Drew have had their qualms, but with Drew not there and Randy not there and Cody Rhodes, and it's kind of interesting. Maybe these guys could show their faces on the event. Keep that in mind. Again, with Brock Lesnar looming, but Brock, you know how he is with travel and everything else. We'll see if that happens. And lastly, one more thing, and then I will be out of your hair. I certainly don't have any, so I got to use your metaphorical hair. I would say that the rumors about Chris Jericho and his return to WWE, I hope they're true. There's been, and there's actually Chris Jericho himself on his own social media put a picture out of him sitting somewhere. I don't know if it's on a train or plane. I don't know what. And he's sitting there looking very intrigued. And it just said, the caption was contemplation. I think we all know what that infers. He's contemplating if he should stay with AEW or go back to the WWE, looking at his options, probably the money, everything that you'd expect somebody to look at. So I think in the end, you will see Chris Jericho back in WWE on a limited in-ring basis. Could it be at the Royal Rumble as a special return? That'd be fun. I wouldn't mind Chris Jericho back in the company. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Is he as good as he was? No. But I mean, my God, there's a lot of guys that are back that aren't as good as they were. But Chris Jericho back would be fun. Maybe he'll be back in time for John Cena. I doubt it. But if he is, then it'll be fun to see Chris Jericho back in the company. Just for nostalgic sake. We're all just violently, fatally ill with nostalgia. I mean, the millennial generation, we have a problem. We all have a problem. So we'll see. But I wanted to address those things with Kevin Owens and with, of course, the potential return of Chris Jericho to the company. So, all right. That'll do it, I think, everybody. So thank you. Those of you that are on live, thank you. Watching the live on delay, thank you. Who are listening to audio only, as always, thank you guys. Great time to go to the Patreon site and go ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast, because I'll be doing more of these lives. I'm just getting my feet wet in them. It's a direct live. You don't have to go to a separate page and go to a third party and go to YouTube or OBX or wherever else to get your lives. It's directly within the Patreon app that you're seeing this live right now. Crazy, right? So check that out and subscribe or hit that 5-star rating. That also helps too. Everybody, thank you so much. I will be back. What the heck? I might be back tomorrow night. If things go crazy, I might just have to get out of my bed and get my lazy ass up and go do a damn review. So we'll see. If the things are, because I very much, after having 2 kids and not getting sleep the last 5 years, I do kind of cherish my sleep. And so I love wrestling. You love wrestling, but sometimes priorities are priorities. So I will be, but trust me, if something's that crazy, I will be here. And you can follow me on X. I will be commenting throughout the show. And follow me there at wrestling_audio or search the WWE podcast, as you'd imagine. So that'll do it. Thank you, everybody. And enjoy the Clash in Paris event. And thanks so much. We'll be in touch in a day or two.
Thanks for listening to the WWE podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.